you can just start that real quick again. That would be great, Mario.
Sure.
All right.
Yep. So welcome everybody. Glad to see everybody here and that we have a quorum, and hopefully Tony's enjoying herself out there in Oregon. So we'll call the meeting to order. It's now 4:36. Cynthia, do we have any public comments?
No public comment.
All right. So moving right along, we've got the approval of the Finance and Growth Committee minutes from February 16th and April 13th. Those were attachments that Cynthia sent to us. If you all had time to review, if not, if you want to take a minute or two to scan through.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All right.
Second.
Thank you, folks. All right. So the minutes from February 16th and April 13th have been approved. Next agenda item is the review of the March 31st, 2022 financials. Again, those were attached.
You want me to hit the high points, Mario, and see if there's questions?
Would you please?
Sure. So I did number them, excuse me, on the bottom right. So I'll just kind of take us right to page 4, which is our statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. Well, let me back it up briefly to say that the budget passed, the town budget passed at town meeting. Was it just last week, Ryan?
Yeah, last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday, and that includes the 160,000 for the partnership for our operations, and then the 40,000 for economic development services. So, as you may recall, the 160,000 is a $10,000 increase over last year. As far as I know, I don't know, Ryan, if nobody's petitioned to go to referendum yet, I assume? Or
Yet, I think by charter, there's like 30 days or something. So nothing yet. There was rumor that would be happening before town meeting. Don't know if those plans are still in the offing, or if perhaps the 85-2 vote of support for the budget may be squashed. Any rebel activity to bring it to referendum, but
yeah, so that's good news. I guess we'll, as Ryan said, we'll wait and see if anything happens within 30 days. So,
All right.
hi, Paul.
Welcome, Paul. All right. No questions.
So, oh, I'm sorry. Can I keep going real quick?
Yeah.
Mario, I'm sorry. So on our membership fees, because this was only through March, so we do have $14,430. So we have, gone, our budget was 10,000. So that's great news. We had a couple of businesses, such as Peoples and Wilcox and Reynolds and Nickabaum, who were very generous this year. So wanted to mention that. So that's great news. So then just on page 5 on our Fund 270, which includes our events and our town square fund, we're doing very well with our fundraising. As you may recall, we had some money left over because we didn't have some of these events, either hybrid, well, not hybrid, either smaller number of them, like the movies, or we didn't have the concerts at all last year. So we were able to take some money and roll it over. The only one where we are still actively fundraising until we get to Winter Welcome is the festival. And we're doing some grants to some banks. We're looking at some other grants. We got some advice from the Northeast Southeast Cultural Coalition and some other places to look for funding. So, but we're in good shape there on events. On page, well, I'm gonna mention that later. I'm gonna go right to, I think, just on page 10, and was also covered in the cover memo, is just, net income continues to be, strong and with parking, so it's about $103,000. So that's about it. So we got one more quarter left, excuse me. So we're working with the town on year end, getting them everything that they need, the town finance department. But I think that's all I had, unless anybody has any questions on the financials. And I think the motion would be to recommend approval by the full board, which will have a special meeting on June 1st.
I recommend approval by the full board, which will have a special meeting on June 1st.
Second.
So moved.
Hello?
Yep, we heard you, Mike.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah.
All right, no other questions on that. Let's move on to the partnership.
We need to do an actual vote. We had a first and a second, or a motion and a second. I think we need to.
Did Mike
Do we have to
second
do a
that?
vote?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So we want to do like an all in favor sort of thing?
Oh,
In favor. Yeah.
all right, so moved.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody. All
You're
right, so
welcome.
moving right along on the partnership strategic action plan for downtown stores. Just an update on that, Cynthia?
Sure. Yeah, so just as a reminder to our non-board members, we have 3 working groups that are working on implementation of the strategic plan. Sustainable funding is one, which we've talked about a little bit with this committee. Promotion/public spaces, and business and property owner engagement. So I'll give just a brief update on what all those groups are doing. And we had a meeting this morning with the property business owner engagement group, of which Steve and Mario serve on that working committee. Steve is the chair. And our main focus is a social event to network with the businesses. So it's really where we're honoring them and thanking them for being part of the downtown, not asking them for anything. And so we're potentially looking at Hops 44. And right after this meeting, I'll be going over to Hops 44 because they have a Chamber of Commerce event to talk to Nancy McKinney, the owner. So we'll be working to get an invite out in the next couple of days, next week or so. So that's the main thing that group's working on. We're also, as part of that outreach, and then possibly at the meeting, we're trying to find out what the best way is for us to communicate with the businesses. Emails, as Steve was saying this morning, everybody gets so many emails now. It's just kind of hard to keep tracking them. And so how do we get more response from the businesses? Is it phone calls? Is it text? What's the best way? So that's another one of the strategic plan tasks, so to speak. The promotion/public spaces group met again this week, and they're meeting again Monday. Our main thing is continuing to work on activating the square through the arts is a big piece of this, and also through UConn events. So a couple of us are meeting with Dean Ann DeLeva, who many of you will remember served on our board for many years. She's now going to be the interim provost. So hopefully our lunch meeting will hold, because she's going to be busy. But we want to really talk to her about how we can continue work with the UConn School of Fine Arts, and then continuing to also work with the Arts Advisory Committee in the town too. The other big piece is public spaces, and we haven't really gotten to that too much too much as part of the work that they're doing, but we want to see, we do have some money from Nature's Medicines and some other funds that we can use to continue to enhance the square and other public spaces. And Steve Bacon, our former board president, expressed interest in serving on that working group. So we're going to bring Steve into the mix now, which will be great. The sustainable funding group, which Kyle leads, and Tony is on, as well as Frank Gifford. The next task is for me to kind of supply a list of where some of our funding needs are. I did give them a list of our donors over the last 3 years in terms of like who's given what for what event, for operations, et cetera, et cetera. So they can work off that list. And I know Kyle's got some ideas about some other potential larger donors. We've also, Denise and I have been attending a couple of webinars that have been really, really helpful, again, through the Cultural Coalition about how we might be able to tap into other resources. So that's all moving along. We are, Larissa Ortiz, who with Street Sense, who was our strategic plan consultant, she will be meeting with each working group in July to kind of check in on where things are and also to see how she might be able to help. And that's a continuing part of her follow-up as part of her contract with the partnership. And then I can talk a little bit about some of our events. But first, I had mentioned Jefferson Fry at the last meeting. So they are actively working in the Husky Pizza space. They just got their sign approved by Jolene in the planning office. It looks, looks very classy. It looks good. I don't have any other concrete updates in terms of tenants, but at least from what we've heard from the property owners, there's been increased activity and interest. So continues to be a lot of interest in restaurants, as you might imagine. And then just real quickly on events, and then happy to answer any questions. Our summer stroll is next Thursday from 5 to 8 in the downtown. Shamim, we are going to be, Kathleen's going to be reaching out to the schools. So this is really for the staff. So this is a grown-up event. We're going to have games, we're going to have music, and a couple of specials from the businesses. So we want to outreach to town staff, school staff. We're going to put something in Daily Digest too. And it is a late night for town hall too. So we're hoping people will stop over to the downtown. So I wanted to mention that. Our annual meeting is June 1st, and we will have tours of the Innovation Partnership Building at 4:45 with our annual meeting at 6. We'll have a little overview of the building and what UConn's doing there, and also have UConn football coach Jim Mora as one of our speakers. So if you have not RSVP'd, please do so. And I do need to know if you're coming to the tour at 4:45 as well. So if you're a board member and you're coming to both, please if you can just shoot me an email or tell me now, because Kara Workman needs to know so they know how many tour guides to have.
I think I already did so, but I'll definitely be at both.
Okay, thanks, Brian. And then our bike tour, the 17th annual, it's like hard to believe. Johnny Jackman Tour to Mansfield is Saturday, June 4th, rain date June 5th, from 6:30 to 1:30. We are still looking for some volunteers for that event, especially for the Eagleville Fire Station rest stop from 9 to 12:30. So if you think you can help out, or if you know anybody that can help out, that would be really appreciated by Denise. Well, by all of us, but that's my brain dump on what's going on. I probably forgot something.
No, that was good. Cynthia, you mentioned that new business that moved into, was it Husky Pizza?
Yeah, they're not in yet, Mario.
What kind of business is it?
So it's basically French fries, but they do some burgers. So they have, I'm trying to think if Cromwell is their first business, but they have one in Cromwell. They now have one in Vernon, which I think is in the Staples Plaza, and then Glastonbury as well. So we're like a semi-local chain, for lack of a.
And what was the name again?
Jefferson Fry.
Okay.
Yeah, they do. They definitely have a good website, so you can check them out.
Cool. All right. Awesome. I know as far as the Jackman Tour, I can't believe it's right around the corner. And I remember doing it pre-pandemic. And I was at that fire station. So
You were?
Yes, I was. So it was a good time. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do it this year. So I
I
apologize.
did see that. No, thank you though, Mario.
Yep.
It's a great event, and it's
It is.
honoring John is always a nice thing too for the town and for the partnership.
Yeah, no, it is truly. Any questions from the team? No? Oh, Ryan's got a call.
I just have one question. Cynthia, when, the development that's going to happen in the Holiday Mall area,
The standard, yep.
is that going to encompass your work, what is it, the economic development? Are we going to see some competition with trying to get things into Storage Center as well?
That's an interesting question. So, and I can Steve wants to jump in. So Steve is chair of EDC. So sort of putting that hat on for me, most development projects have been coming through the EDC for comment. So Linda's been sending them along to, Ag Committee, Conservation, whatever that is. And so the EDC did review that project. They're looking at 15,000 square feet of commercial, which my understanding, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, is about how much they have there now. Does that sound right, Steve?
Yeah,
That's
it
what I was
sounds
told
about
by the owner, but
it sounds about right, and I think part of it was driven by planning and zoning's desire to see mixed-use commercial residential space. I would encourage anyone who thinks we have enough to let PZC know that we have plenty of commercial space currently. But I think that's sort of the look they're going for. So, I think if you look at the market, residential, rental properties have been very, very, very strong since downtown was built. But the commercial side of things has always been a little bit more tricky. So maybe this helps us get the critical mass and attract more stuff. Or maybe it's competition. I would sort of lean towards its competition for the downtown. But I think you're going to see a different, it also leads to a different tenant mix. Like when we met with the property owners and with the leasing agents, they see the two downtown pieces, like the Hart Realty and the Blackline Realty, very, very differently. So like, whereas you or I, we drive down the road and we just see a whole bunch of buildings and a whole bunch of different businesses, they see that very, like a very different mix of potential uses because of the way the spaces are configured. So they're not all like 1,000 square foot office space type uses. You're going to have a variety of uses because of the way they're laid out, I guess. And I think something at Four Corners is going to have a different use than something downtown because it's not going to be as walkable. You're not as close to UConn, so you're not going to be so reliant on the student population, which could be really helpful since it seems like maybe people rely a little bit too much on the student population in the downtown. So we'll see.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I've thought a lot about. I mean, and I think Steve, I definitely agree with a lot of his points. It will be interesting to see how things evolve. Obviously, we have available space down here, and there's available space in other places too. So in Eastbrook and others. So, one advantage we have is Betsy Patterson Square too. So we have the public space that is actively programmed by the partnership dedicated to doing that. So.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Thoughts, comments? No? All right. Anything else, Cynthia?
I don't think so.
All right, cool. What time's the meeting down at the Hops?
5 to 6:30.
Okay, cool. So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully it will be a good information thing for our event to take place sometime in June.
Oh, that event. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant the one tonight.
Well, tonight, but looking it forward, so
But
hopefully.
probably around the same, well, it depends. I mean, Kyle was talking about 5 to 8. That may be too long. So if we'll have to figure that out. But I'll have that conversation with Nancy if I can pull her aside tonight.
Cool. All right, great. So with that being said, pretty much this was a quick meeting. Thanks, everybody, for their attention and for their comments and questions. If I can have a motion to adjourn tonight's session.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second,
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Be well.
Thanks, everybody. Y'all have a great night. Great
You
seeing
too.
you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Bye. Bye.